It's time to get out of the boring two-dimensional world that we live in Adobe Illustrator and get into the real world of 3 dimensions. In reality, we know that our monitor is two-dimensional, and although we may see things on that monitor that look 3-dimensional, it's based on lighting, shading, vanishing point that cues our mind to see something on a flat surface that looks 3-dimensional. Let me also say, Adobe Illustrator is not a ray trace animation rendering program like Maya or Bryce, even though it was born just to be a 2D kind of program. Illustrator can do some pretty impressive 3-dimensional objects if you know how to do it. Now we're going to start with the word eye-popping. You do not have to convert this word into outlines if you don't want to. It doesn't make any difference. That's totally up to you. Let me move that a little bit more over here because the dialog box we're going to get into is pretty big and I need some room. Select what you want to extrude and bevel. That's where we're going to start. Go to the word Effect on the pull-down menu and go down to 3D, Extrude and Bevel. That's the first of the 3. Click the Preview button and begin the process. Okay, so we're already creating a 3-dimensional shape by default. You can put this image into all 3 axes of space by using the numbers over here, or you can grab the box and change it this way. If you know what you're doing, that's probably an easier way to do it. Just go ahead and move it around. Over here, you have perspective. Now, perspective is kind of like our view or perspective of what we're looking at. So if we click that and change that, it's kind of changing how we're seeing this view. So let's go ahead and take that back to 0 for now. You have a cap option or an open option. If you'll notice, if I open it up, you're seeing through it. We'll go back to cap, and it's cap back off again. The extrusion depth is, in a sense, how thick, how extruded the text is. If we change that number, obviously, we can make it go higher or lower. Obviously, up to you. Down here, we have a bevel, extrude and bevel. I'm not a big fan of beveling text that much. Usually, it causes some problems because the shapes are rather complex. However, you can try maybe doing just a classic bevel. And once you have a bevel on there, you can change the height of the bevel, make it less or more aggressive. Let's go less aggressive. You see it makes it less aggressive on the bevel side. You can change the shading. We can go in diffuse, no shading at all, which makes it rather boring, or put it into wireframe mode, and that's what it will look like when you actually click OK. We want our regular plastic shading for now. That gives us the ability to adjust the light source. You can move it around, or if you want to, you can add another light source. We could put another one maybe down here somewhere and lower its intensity so it's not quite so aggressive. And we're creating a multiple light source. Our color shading for the light source is black, and that's default. If you do want a different shading color, that's up to you. Let's go ahead and click OK. We'll look at map art in a second. So we have basically extruded this shape out of the simple word eye-popping. Let's look at our box down here, or what's going to be a box in a minute. Select it. Go up to the word Effect, go down to 3D, and over to, one more time, Extrude and Bevel. Same idea. We click OK. We can do all the stuff that we were looking at before. Let's make that a little bit thicker and make it more into a box. Say like that. Like that. We can open the shape up, turn it into a tunnel, or close it back off. I want to show you map art now. We'll look at this again later. Map art is a really cool feature when you're dealing with these 3D tools because it allows you to map artwork to the shape. One thing to remember, when you're mapping artwork, it's going to be in your symbols library right here. It's got to be a symbol, and I'll show you how to do that later and make one. But if I click Map Art and I select Symbol right here, if you click, the only thing you're going to see here for mapping artwork are symbols that you've added to that library. So if I click the aster, you can see what it does. Puts it right there. We come over here, tell it to scale to fit, make it bigger. Now a box has what? A box has 6 sides. There are 6 surfaces up here. If I want to put a shape somewhere else, all I have to do is click this button until I see the area that I want to put the shape on. Like say right up here on top. We go up here again, choose another shape. That's a pretty cool thing that you can do, mapping artwork to the shape. And we'll use a little bit more creativity in this in a little bit. We're just kind of doing some basics right now. Click OK if you like it. So there you have some basics in getting into the third dimension with something called bevel and emboss. And we're not done. Check out the next segment.